Hey, everybody. Welcome into the First Call Podcast. Jeremy Plonk and Jeff Siegel from First Bet and Express Bet. It's Friday, so we are handicapping weekend stakes races. Jeff, Royal Ascot's been going since Tuesday, so it's felt like Saturday since Tuesday because there's been world-class racing every day this week.
Yeah, today and finishing up tomorrow. The really good grade one, group one sprint at Royal Ascot for horses that will be certainly capable of running in the Breeders' Cup turf sprint here out at Santa Anita, 6.5, including Kinross. We'll talk about him in a minute, but some still good racing going on. Good to firm today. Hopefully it'll stay good to firm for tomorrow, so we'll be able to trust the results at Royal Ascot. Americans have won one. I mean, Crimson Advocate certainly was impressive in her 2-year-old win for George Weaver. Wesley Ward's 2-year-old's not firing at all again. And it's been kind of a drought over the past several years for him. He had this great reputation and well-earned of sending over live and well-met 2-year-olds, but they have not been running lately. And so far, not very good at all. But some of the Americans have done well, and we'll see how it plays out as it concludes on Saturday.
Hey, in this racing game, we don't take a lot of chances. It's kind of a pretty conservative rubber stamp schedule every year. And when they do take a chance and go outside the box, sometimes it doesn't work and it blows up in your face. But the Royal Palm Stakes that they had at Gulfstream Park this spring for the win and you're in towards Royal Ascot was a winner. That's what put Crimson Advocate into the Queen Mary, and then she went on to win it. A filly like that for George Weaver, probably not heading to Royal Ascot unless that kind of race was there as the springboard and setup. So first year of the Royal Palm Stakes for the fillies and for the colts, the 2-year-olds, the winning your ins for Royal Ascot. Thumbs up to Gulfstream Park. This was something kind of, late in the season after the championship meet, but I think it's going to have nice momentum moving forward.
I think it is too. I mean, you're right. She was going to go over there unless they paid her way, and they did. It's pretty expensive to ship over there. It takes a lot of work, and if it's if they're going to pay the freight, then you go. But if you got to foot the bill, you think, well, maybe there's a race somewhere else we can go instead. Why run against 24, 25 2-year-olds when I can run against 7 somewhere else? But she went, she won. That will ensure her value as a race mare and a brood mare for several years. Well done. And she got a fortunate head bob to get there, Crimson Advocate. But you got to leave. Everybody needs some luck sometimes. So anyway, good for her. And the results will be. We really should keep track of these results because many of these horses that are participating are going to be Breeders' Cup styled runners. There's no doubt in my mind we're going to get quite a few come over here that have been racing at Royal Ascot.
It's time to get handicapping for the weekend. These are June 24th stakes races. We've got 8 of them across the world. We're going to start at Royal Ascot with the newly named Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee. It was the Platinum Jubilee last year with the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. The race has been renamed this year. At Thistledown, we're going to talk about the Ohio Derby that they've been running since the 1870s with a 100-year gap in between. Gulfstream Park to the Carryback, part of the Summer Summit of Speed. At Monmouth Park, the Goldwood on the turf. Cross our fingers we can stay on the grass in the Northeast this weekend at Monmouth because we also have a turf stakes up next at Belmont in the Wild Applause. At Ellis Park, they've got the Grade 3 Chicago, part of the Churchill Downs at Ellis, still that portion of the meet. The Ellis Park proper won't really take place until after 4th of July weekend. At Pleasanton, the Northern California Fair has the She's a Tiger Stakes, and Los Alamitos wraps it up with the Bertrando. So those are our 8 races we're going to look at. Quite a diverse slate from Royal Ascot to Thistledown to Los Alamitos and Pleasanton, Jeff. I mean, we're not just taking like here's 8 races from Belmont kind of weekend. It's not that way on the schedule, right? This is kind of one of those, we're in the tweener time, kind of waiting for Saratoga, kind of waiting for Del Mar. Royal Ascot's wrapping up. So we've got a couple weeks of these kind of, not necessarily disjointed, but diverse, I should say, stake schedules.
Well, actually, in trying to figure out which races we were going to handicap, one of the things that I looked at was, do I actually like something in these races? Right. So a couple of them didn't quite make the cut. Others that you would not have expected for us to discuss them did, because in handicapping these races, I actually have an opinion, which is probably where we should go most of the time, anytime. But we'll start things off with Royal Ascot. And again, great card, but a very important race, as you mentioned, 6 furlongs on the straightaway. And this is a race, $1.2 million. So I don't think anybody's giving anybody a race here. I think they're going for it. And Kinross, I mentioned, who is number 9 on the program, but will leave from what would essentially would be the rail, if we would talk about it, the far side on the one hole on the far side, makes his return. Now, you remember when we last saw him, a very good third in the Breeders' Cup Mile, but he has sprinted well in the past over there, and he won the Breeders' Champion Sprint over the same course and distance at Ascot last year. And I don't know if he's ready or not. I mean, we don't have workouts, but I would imagine that if he's ready, he's going to be tough to beat.
Here he was over the course at Ascot, as you mentioned, last October in the Quick Go British champion.
Naval Crown on the extreme right with Creative Force and Kinross. They're coming down the centre, and then Perfect Power on the far side. Go Bears Go is now taken on by Art Power, Ventura Diamond, and also finishing well is Tenebrism as Kinross now takes it up on the centre in the centre group. Kinross sent ahead 2 lengths to Creative Force and Run to Freedom. Far side Tenebrism and Rohan finishing well, but Kinross in the form of his life going to follow up his foray win, and Kinross wins easily.
That was his lead-in race to the Breeders' Cup. We haven't seen him now, a little over 200 days, but Kinross turning back from the Breeders' Cup, the sprint distance here. We know he likes the course. Going to be tough under Frankie Dettori, who's making his swan song at Royal Ascot. And I guess it's the best of times, the worst of times for Frankie. He got a 9-day suspension for careless riding earlier in the week, but he's won a couple races. Today, he won his 80th race at Royal Ascot. When you think they only run there, 35 races a year, 5 days, 7 races a day. And Frankie's won 80 of those over the years throughout his storied career. Kinross should be tough in there. We've got American interest though, Jeff. Big Invasion going in the race in the Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee as well. You and I have talked about Big Invasion probably since the very first race of his career. I think he was a star of tomorrow of ours on the show way back when.
He was,
and we kept saying, when are they going to throw him in with the big guys? When are they going to throw him in with the big guys? He's in the deep pool this time.
He is, but I'm really curious to see how he'll run in a straightaway, because as a dedicated turf sprinter who doesn't have a lot of tactical speed, he usually has to put together a serious late kick in the fates around one turn from, and maybe he only has 3/16 of a mile at best to work with when he finally straightens for home, and sometimes less than that. Whereas when you go a straightaway mile, you can kind of pick it up and start your rally whenever you want to, really, at the pace. So I'm curious. He ran really well on the Jaipur last time out, got beat 3/4 of a length, was 10th at the top of the stretch. It was given a lot to do and fell short of Caravel. Nothing wrong with that form.
No.
So I think Christophe Clement had a good idea here, running him 3/4 of a mile, and he's 20-1 in the morning line. I don't know if he'll win, but I mean, you're not going to get 20-1 on a horse of this quality anywhere very often. So I might do a couple of bucks on him for sure. Also interesting in the same race is the return, and I mean the quick return, of Highfield Princess, who just ran on Tuesday.
Yep.
And now she's back in off short rest after finishing second in the King's Stand. Ran really well that day. That was over 5/8. Now she's going 3/4. And of course, she was my selection in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint last year, and didn't get a good trip at all. She was wide. She never really got over, and she just kind of messed up. But she is going to be running a straightaway, and whereas Kinross is on the far side on the rail, Highfield Princess is going to be on this side of the rail.
Right.
So they both should have every chance. I'm going to watch that race. It's going to be good, because I would think that both, and certainly Big Invasion, would be candidates for the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint down the hill here at Santa Anita.
Yeah, with a field of 16 on the straight, they're going to break away into 2 packs, one on the left side of the course, one on the right side of the course. Highfield Princess and Kinross may never see each other in this race, but when they get to the wire, they could be the two that lead their respective packs, and what the race boils down to. Very interesting race. You got Artorias, third in this race last year, back from Australia, international flavor there, and of course, Big Invasion, the American interest. We'll try to get one on the way out as we hit the winner earlier in the week with Crimson American Advocate. Maybe we can finish up with Big Invasion for the American interest. Let's go next on our handicapping jaunt around the world from Royal Ascot to Thistledown. We say that all the time. The Ohio Derby on Saturday, the 12th race on the program in Greater Cleveland, the 4th of 4 consecutive stakes that wrap up the card. And I want to remind you fans that when you play the Ohio Derby card, do it with Express Bet and First Bet on Saturday, because we've got a $10 money back special on all 4 stakes races run at Thistledown on Saturday. So the 3 undercard stakes leading into the Ohio Derby, and then the big one itself, get up to $10 back on your win bets when your win bet finishes second or third. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that's been going on all week at Royal Ascot as well, and will be on Saturday. So take advantage of those $10 money back specials. Ohio Derby field is not deep in numbers. There are 8 entered, 3 locals, 5 horses who have decent credentials, though, to be in a race like this, that have won and done some damage around the country in 3-year-old stakes this year. It's a $500,000 race at 1 1/8 miles. And if the Kentucky Derby was at 1 1/8 miles, this guy may have been in the winner's circle. Let's go back to the first Saturday in May, where Two Phils, the Ohio Derby favorite, put a scare into him.
Here's Two Phils making a move on the inside, and the two of them hook up, and Jareth Loveberry has taken Two Phils to the front. And Kings Barnes is running in second. Hick Show is circled up on the outside as they come to the top of the stretch, and they're into the stretch, and Two Phils has turned for home on top. Kings Barnes, here's Mage coming strongly down the outside. Angel of Empire is putting in his run, and there's 1 furlong to run. Two Phils on the inside, trying to hold off Mage. Mage is taking the lead here as they come into the final 16th, and it is going to be Mage to win the Kentucky Derby. And then it was Two Phils, Angel of Empire, and a photo. Disarm was 4th.
So back in the Ohio Derby, Two Phils, Jeff, with a repeat of that effort would have to be very tough to beat on Saturday.
And he's not just a one-hit wonder, because and we're used to that, seeing that sometimes in the Derby, right, where you don't like the winner, he runs good, and all of a sudden you believe in him, and then all of a sudden you figure, that's not what you're going to get. But Two Phils, he was so impressive at Turfway 2 races back. He did that on an all-weather surface, and he did it from well off the pace, whereas in the Derby on conventional dirt, he was close to a very, very fast pace throughout and stuck around. And what I love about him is that this is a race. This isn't some, let's run him tomorrow, let's run him there. This was always going to be the plan, which is why Larry Ravelli didn't have to second guess how he trained him. He knew the date of the race. He knew you could work backwards from there. Okay, this is what we're going to do to get there in peak form. You look at his workouts at Hawthorne on dirt, and they look spectacular. Again, I haven't seen them, but they look terrific. And the last 2 races were legit, triple-digit buyer numbers in both. I don't know if he's a gamble or not, but boy, I would love to see him justify or verify the Kentucky Derby win, because we could use a leader in this division, or at least, because right now everybody thinks they have a shot. But Two Phils has done as good as any of them, as far as I'm concerned, and I would be disappointed if he doesn't go out and win this race.
John White, our contemporary, who blogs for us at Express Bet and First Bet, same as you. He really has Two Phils on top of his sophomores now, as you read John's blog this week. So check that out at expressbet.com and at news.first.com. He's in agreement with Jeff. Jeff and I did this on our It's Official podcast the other day, ranking our 3-year-olds. And I know you have Two Phils number 1 right now. He verifies that with a win on Saturday. I'm sure he's expected to win. I don't think they're going to beat him in here. I think the gamble for me, it's their Express Bet race of the week, so I wrote this one up, is Henry Q underneath. I thought Henry Q ran decent in the Peter Pan last time, and I think as we get back to 2 turns, he's a speed horse who should carry 1 1/8 miles from the rail in a race I don't think has a lot of speed. Bishop's Bay's back in here. That's the horse he was against in the Peter Pan. But of the 3 locals that they put in this race as filler, none of them look like just jet set speed types that are going to mess the race up, if you will, or mess the pace up of the race. So I think it's kind of Bishop's Bay and Henry Q, just like they did in the Peter Pan. But now with the rail, and you put Kendrick Carmouche, a dead set speed jock on the rail with Henry Q, I get a feeling Henry Q is going to go a ways in this. And to me, that's the exact, and I think it could be a decent exacta play in here, because Lord Miles is in here, the Wood winner. You've got Bishop's Bay, the Peter Pan runner-up, who's going to get bet. I think Henry Q is no better than 4th choice in the win pool, and so for the exactas, we might get a decent number.
No, I think you're on the right track there, and I think if Henry Q from the rail is ridden aggressively, that might discourage Bishop's Bay from busting out and having the same kind of game plan. He might say, "Okay, Henry will go, and now we'll just sit second," and that's fine because if you give Henry Q an easy opening quarter and half, he might not stop. Bishop's Bay obviously finished almost 9 lengths in front of him last time, so the average handicapper is going to look at that and say, well, I can't use Henry Q over Bishop's Bay. So if you're right, Jeremy, about Henry Q, you should get paid in the exacta. And whereas Two Phils can sit behind both of them and sit third, we know he can do that. It sets up really nicely for him. I'm not that sold right now yet on Lord Miles and the Wood. I don't know about that form. I mean, his shows run okay since then, but numbers wise, he's far short of what he needs to be. The rest of these just don't do a whole lot for me. So I think your Express Bet Race of the Week selections of Two Phils over Henry Q, to me, makes a lot of sense. And if you're gambling in this race, that may be the way to go.
This will be the 4th leg of an all-stakes pick 4 as well to wrap things up at Thistledown on Saturday. I would not get beyond the favorite in there. I think Two Phils is a solid play in here. Like you said, sit third, pounce, and go. And there's 2 logical horses in here that have a little bit of haste coming out of the Peter Pan. It just sets up the way he wants to run even, right? So when the best horse gets the race shape that they want, they rarely give back that sort of advantage. So I think we'll see Two Phils into the winner's circle. Let's switch gears now from the 3-year-old scene going long to the 3-year-old sprinters in the Carryback Stakes. Next up in our handicapping tour of the world is Gulfstream Park on Saturday. The Carryback is 7 furlongs on the main track, $75,000. This is part of the original Summit of Speed, which used to always be on like one card way back in the day, but been split up over the course of the summer, but these Summer to Speed stakes races have often produced some really good horses for later in the year. Jeff, we've got some 3-year-olds in here that have credentials. Super Chow's ran off 3-4 stakes wins this year. Zydeco's running some big races and run really well, coming off a win in the sophomore at Tampa Bay Downs. This is a good bunch. Swervin may go favorite in here, 5-2 in the morning line for Staffy. 2-for-2 lifetime, hasn't been beaten. But I know you like a horse named Mr. Peaks coming off a maiden win. We did see this one appear in the Florida Derby, but I'll just say appeared in the Florida Derby. Certainly sprinting is more his game.
It is. And if you really put the microscope on Mr. Peaks' form, first 2 races for Ian Wilkes, wasn't really cranked up. He showed improvement, and he earned an 87 buyer number when he was second in a maiden race, 2 races or a second star, which is very fast for a maiden at that time of the year.
Right.
Then he was transferred to Saffie Joseph's barn. You'd expect improvement. I don't know why Saffie threw him into the Florida Derby, but at least he was part of the pace to the turn before fading. And you're right, he's basically wasn't ready for that as a maiden. But then he comes back and he breaks his maiden by 6. Good, strong speed figure. Comes back with a very sharp workout, a California Chrome Colt, and you can see him on the inside. He's the chestnut with the big blaze. And I love this work. They're going in 47-2, and you could see him just not even really being asked much. The workmate on the outside is being niggled at to try to stay even, but Mr. Peaks has kind of taken his rider to the wire here just easily. And I think at 7/8 of a mile following that highly rated maiden race win, and the gallop out strong here as well, I think Mr. Peaks is really going to step forward. Now, obviously, he's going to have to step forward. But you're gambling here at 4-1. Now, here's my problem with Super Child. I know he's good enough to win. I mean, he won the Limehouse here. He won the Swale. I mean, or he was second in the Swale. Then he won the Hutchinson. Then they ran him in the Chick Lane, which was a logical place to run him. In fact, I think I actually liked him in that race, if memory serves. And he was just well beaten. And sometimes when you get these sharp improving horses, you overmatch them, not intentionally, but it turns out to be that way. Sometimes they don't automatically bounce back next time. They take a while to maybe either get their confidence back or whatever the case is. I love his outside draw. I think Super Chow's going to run really well, and if he wins, it will not be surprising to me. As for Saffie's other colt, in addition to Mr. Peaks, Swervin's 2-for-2, earned a big figure when he won a allowance race back in April. I could see him as well, but to me, Mr. Peaks has a chance at 4-1, and he might go a tad higher too, I think, to maybe step forward and make a run for it going 7/8. So I'm going to try Mr. Peaks as a gamble in the Carryback. Goes as the 8th at Gulfstream Park on Saturday.
7 in the entry box, 5 last out winners. So you've got some horses in really good form, and some of those running off nice streaks of wins. So a good one in the Carryback Stakes. Thanks to XBTV for that video. We're getting excited about the XBTV workout videos that we're going to have this summer from Saratoga and Del Mar. Certainly, that's the place to follow all the morning moves. So take advantage of that service with Express Bet, First Bet, and our sister company there with XBTV. Should be fantastic coverage with multiple cameras at both sites, Jeff.
Yeah, and here's the good news for me and for any handicapper, in that in addition to doing all the gate work and all the stuff we're going to be doing at Del Mar, we are going to make a concerted effort to get the grass works at Del Mar, which nowhere in California can you work on grass other than Del Mar. Yeah. So, and you're going to get a lot of these Euro imports coming in off the plane, and 2-year-olds, not 2-year-olds so much, but allowance horses and stakes horses from overseas that you really want to get a handle on. And I can't tell you how helpful it was, at least for me, last year to watch these horses breeze, telling me which ones are keen, which ones are spot on, which ones are fit. And then you can match that up with the form and really have a chance to make a serious wager with confidence. So I can't wait for both Saratoga, which we always seem to get grassworks there, and Del Mar, and really be equipped to attack both meetings, as we all want to do with all the great racing and the big money that's available during that time of the year.
We'll be neck deep in about a month and all of that. It's not far away at this point. Okay, so let's talk Northeast racing here. We've got the Mid-Atlantic, the Goldwood Stakes at Monmouth Park. We've also got Belmont Park's Wild Applause, 2 races scheduled for the turf. Some rain in the Northeast now. It's expected to kind of hang around for the weekend. So will these stakes races stay on the grass? We're not sure. Let's talk about them from a grass perspective, though, Jeff. Starting off with the Goldwood, it's a 5.5 furlong turf sprint. Goes as race number 9 on Saturday, 100 grander at Monmouth Park. Field of 9. We also have a couple in there for the main track only in case this race switches over to the main track. 4 of them, in fact, entered main track only. So some trainers are trying to play weatherman and anticipate the conditions. On grass, who do you like here in the Goldwood?
Yeah, this race, if it comes off the turf, and it might, they won't have any trouble filling the race. In other words, there's several, at least 6 or 7 of these, maybe more, that would be just as happy to have the race run on the dirt. Sometimes they're a little hesitant to take it off because they don't have a race. Everybody scratches. But this situation is a little different. Now, if it stays on turf, trained Artemis, I think she's got the great style where I'm looking for speed. I'm looking for a horse that can sit right behind and make a run. She has that great stalking style, coming off a win in the very one at Pimlico, which I thought was a really good win. And I think if she were to repeat that race, and if they do run on grass, I would think the train to Artemis for Kelly Breen would be hard to beat.
Let's go back and take a look at her win at Pimlico last month.
A race to the top of the stretch with a quarter to go at Pimlico. And a narrow lead there for Spicy Marg is trying to hold on about 3 parts of a length. Train to Artemis coming off the inside now. Her World of Fire outside, and Can the Queen is next. And Spun Glass trying to offer a bit of late kick. A Whiskey and Ride drifts to the far outside. Train to Artemis takes over. Train to Artemis bounding home now under Paco Lopez in the very one. Train to Artemis. Second was Spicy Marg, and Spun Glass with a good late kick, and then Thundering Creed.
Jeff, if this race comes off the turf and is run on the main track, we might want to just go back to those same kind of Pimlico races that we saw on Preakness weekend, because Olivia Darling's runner-up in the ski pat there on the undercard on Preakness weekend was outstanding. Just beating the neck, finishing up strong. This is the horse who's got consistent form. I'll take Olivia Darling if this race comes off the turf and goes on the main track. That's the Goldwood, race number 9 at Monmouth on Saturday. Let's move ahead now on our schedule to Belmont Park, where the Wild Applause Stakes is next up for us to handicap. 1 mile on the turf. It's a 1-turn mile, of course, at Belmont Park on the grass. $150,000 in the Wild Applause Stakes. And, of course, when you got 3-year-old fillies here running on the turf, you know Chad Brown's going to be represented. He's got tax implications in here. You expect Chad Brown to always have horses in these kind of races. If we get to a main track only situation. He's got the one entered in here, Sheeta Beauty, who won the Busher and ran really well in the Gazelle to run third in there. She was kind of on the Kentucky Oaks Trail. So on the main, Sheeta Beauty going to be very tough, an odds-on favorite for Chad Brown. On the turf, it's Tax Implications who could go favorite for Brown. He's got him no matter what the scenario, but you expect that when you get these 3-year-old filly races on the grass for Chad.
Right. You've got he's loaded here, and the horse that he has in this race that I like the best actually is Liguria. Although before I talk about her, Breath Away is good. I mean, she is really good for Christophe Clement. She got tagged, closed home in the Hilltop, ran a winning race. Numbers wise, she's fast. That Asprey, who wore her down, is a high quality filly for sure. So at 2-1 in the morning line, I could certainly see Breath Away winning this race. They all, in my opinion, have to go through her. But Liguria is a quality filly herself. I remember watching her at Del Mar last year when she just won the Jimmy Durante off the plane for fun. Looked terrific doing it. I was actually kind of surprised that we didn't see her again for a while. But I guess they decided to give her the winter off and bring her back. And I thought she was a dead short filly in the Edgewood. She finished fifth. She got a good trip, in tight in the upper stretch, kind of blocked, had nowhere to go. Kind of got the Goodbye Olive trip there for a while, where she was trapped and she wanted to go, and when she wanted to go, she couldn't go, and she ended up getting beat just over a length by a good field for sure. But I thought she was a little short that day. And if you looked at her form last year, she kind of needed a run before being ready. So I think after that race got her tightened and was still produced a career top speed figure for her. She comes back and breezes in 59-4, doing very well in company with the older stakes winning Haughty. I think with that race under her belt, the good sharp drill, the good inside draw, switch to IRAD, I think Liguria at 7-2 in the morning line is going to really fire a major shot here. If she's not good enough to beat the favorite, who I think will be favored, Breath Away, fine, I'll accept that. But I'm expecting Liguria to leave her form behind and step forward with a big run.
We'll see if the pick six carries over another day. There's a one-day carryover, I believe 43 or 48,000 on the Friday card at Belmont as we tape our podcast. So good luck to people attacking the pick six on Friday at Belmont Park with the carryover. Maybe we'll get a 2-day carryover and have something really big to shoot at on the Saturday program. The Wild Applause Stakes feature race scheduled for a mile on the turf. Cross our fingers that we could get to stay on the grass. Next up in our handicapping journey, we go to Ellis Park for the Chicago Stakes. This is kind of one of those geographical anomalies. The Chicago Stakes, of course, was in Arlington. Churchill Downs shut that place down, so they moved it to Churchill Downs. Now Churchill was forced to close to try to get their track situation in order with all the horse deaths and euthanizations that they've had to undergo there in recent months. So the Chicago Stakes moves from Churchill to Ellis Park now. So the Chicago Stakes doesn't know where it is on the map exactly, but Brad Cox knows about it. He won this race last year. He tries to win it back-to-back years with Matarea, Jeff. She's just a top-notch filly, and I think in this spot she's going to be tough. This is a good group. You've got Hidden Connection, Society, some horses that have won some really nice races and shown ability over the years, but it's 7/8 of a mile. Matarea is just really strong.
And she's coming out of a grade 1 win and dropping into a grade 3. Obviously, Brad Cox looking ahead, I would imagine, to Saratoga, and probably this is kind of a stopgap, stopover type of race. It's there. It's got a $225,000 purse. She's already a grade 1 winner. Doesn't have to worry about the graded thing. She's got that in her hip pocket. And she shows up here going 7/8, which is a perfect distance for her. 4 starts, 3 wins, and a third. And rather than have that gap between May 6th and into Saratoga, he uses this race as a springboard. I don't see any reason why she shouldn't win. She loves to win. First or second, 9 out of 11 starts with 6 wins. She's training steadily, a healthy pattern there. And that's why she's 4-5 in the morning line. But I'd like to see her win because we want all of these great top-notch, top-class fillies and mares to hit Saratoga in peak form. And if she can win this race, and she should, then she will do that, just that. So Matarea at obvious short price. Again, no value, no gambling here, but a good filly by Pioneer of the Nile looking to maintain her top form.
Here she is winning the Derby City Distaff on the Kentucky Derby weekend.
Good Night Olive still with work to do here. She's 2.5 lengths behind. She's pinned in on the inside, and circling the field now is Hot and Sultry, and they're into the stretch, and it is Monterey. Good Night Olive trying to find a seam in between horses, just to the inside of Wicked Halo. Still Monterey, a furlong to run. Wicked Halo to the outside. Good Night Olive is down toward the rail. Monterey is still there. Wicked Halo, Good Night Olive's going to split him and try to come on late, but there's no room, and Monterey won it. Wicked Halo is second, a trouble trip for Good Night Olive. She has to settle for third.
And Jeff, the underscore that Derby City Distaff when we know Wicked Halo and Goodnight Olive are good horses, but they're also still maintain their form. They came back last week and ran 1-2 in the Bed of Roses up at Belmont. So in good form. Mataraya, definitely the horse to beat. To me, she's a single in the pick 4, pick 5. If you're playing Ellis Park on Saturday, I've got a ticket at Express Bet and First Bet in the blog section. If you want to check out my analysis of the pick 4, I will tell you this: the pick 4 is $2.50. 5 combinations, I think, is all we used. And then the pick 5 is $7.50. 3 by 1 by 1 by 1 by 5, I believe. There looks like 3 singles to me. It's one of those kind of pick 4s that you pick 5s that you just want to focus, go after, play it for $20, play it 10 times, that sort of thing like that, versus trying to play 20 different combinations. Because I don't think we're going to get a massive return. But funny, last week at Ellis, we had 3 winners, 5-2 or less in the pick 5. Only one winner was like 8-1 was the highest payoff, and it paid 600-1 plus.
Yeah,
380 something for 50 cents. So just beat the right one. That's where you need to do. But if they're going to give you a couple spots that look like they should win, go ahead and take them. And I think Mataraya is one of those. To Northern California, we go next, and it's Pleasanton, main track racing here in Northern California on the fair circuit. Of course, Golden Gate Fields with their synthetic surface. But when we get to the summer fair, a lot of these horses running on the main track, and that's what we've got on the dirt, a mile and a 16th for the She's a Tiger Stakes. I'm still kind of bitter about this one. I had She's a Tiger when she got disqualified when she won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies way back when. So they've got a stakes named for her in Northern California, a mile and a 16th here, and these are fillies and mares 3 and up. Who'd you like in this one, Jeff?
Well, I'm picking Anthony's Cleopatra, and one of the reasons why I decided to include this in our list here is I remember her last year as a 3-year-old. She won her first 2 starts. She was very, very fast. And then Tim McCanna, who's a friend of mine and buys horses for me, decided to try her distance to ground. And the natural inclination when you take a sprinter is to stretch them out, but not really let them show their weapon, their best weapon, their speed. You kind of guzzle them down. I don't know if she can run that far, so let's slow her down, which is, in my opinion, the wrong thing to do. And if you look at her form, I mean, she's got sprint speed, and yet in all of her route races, they seem to want to kind of grab her and take her back and settle her and make her run. That's not her. I'm hoping that this time they just bust out there and just wire the field. This is a dirt race. She's got an inside draw. This pace situation looks very soft. It's theirs for the asking. And I just think that her best running, or her best chance, rather than sit third as she did last time in a similar spot, let her roll just and go to the front.
Right.
And I think she can outrun this field. And I think if she gets loose from the lead, she can get brave. She's listed at 9-2 in the morning line. If they try to rate her again and take her back and sit third or fourth, she's not going to finish because she never does. But but I think if she gets loose at Pleasanton, conventional dirt, she could wire the field. So that's the gamble. I'll know whether I have any kind of chance before they hit the clubhouse turn. But
right.
If she's in front going in the first turn, I think Anthony's Cleopatra's got a chance to beat this field.
Tam's Little Angel won this race last year at a decent number. I believe, what was the price? 8-1, now 6-1 in the morning line in her title defense. The 6-horse Tam's Little Angel back, looking for 2 in a row in the She's a Tiger. Let's go next to the Bertrando Stakes at Los Alamitos. Southern California Racing is at the Orange County venue for the next couple weeks until Del Mar kicks up. This is the Bertrando Stakes for Calbreds at $100,000 purse. And a 1 mile race, they start close to the clubhouse turn, so post position can be important in a race like this. A 2-turn race, tight turns at Los Alamitos, kind of that paperclip kind of racetrack, but only a field of 6, Jeff. So probably not going to lose too much ground on the first turn, no matter who you are in here, but you certainly don't want to be 3 wide on the opening turn. So where'd you end up here in the Bertrando?
I'm going to take a shot at Lovesick Blues, even though in heart of hearts, I'm not really sure that he wants to go a mile. He strikes. I mean, he's run well at a mile, but his sprint form, his last 3 races at Santa Anita, I thought was superior. A nice winner of a starter race 3 races back and ran fast, earned a 94 Bayard number stakes quality. Won again, going 6.5. Ran huge in the Daytona, got beat just a neck. Those are among the better grass sprinters in California. And now he's stretching out. I love the way he's training, too. I want to show a recent work for Lovesick Blues. And to me, this is a horse that really is doing really well. Now, he went 103 in change. You can see the rider's going to look over his the watch here, right about the youth poll, to see how slow he's going. And he says, I'm going to get yelled at. I better get the last part. So he asks him to run. The horse is kind of saying, what do you want from me? Slow, fast, I'll do whatever you want. But he picks it up. And even though he's going in 103.3, he's looking good. I mean, he could have gone in a minute if they'd let him, but he went off so slow. That's not going to affect the form in a sense. But it just tells me that he's doing well off a series of very hard races. And now he's stretching out to a mile. He's won at Los Al in the past, so I like that. And I think this is a race that's going to set up for him, because while he doesn't have a lot of gate speed, I think he's going to fold into a good second flight stalking position. And you've got Desmond Dawson, the 2-hole, is going to probably bust out there and go coming out of the triple bend, who's probably most effective on the lead going long. And then Kings River Knight, who really got handed the race last time. And I'll give him credit. He won the Crystal Water, but they said, you want to go to the front? We'll tell you what we'll do. You go to the front, and everybody else will take back, and you can just stroll along, which is what he did. Now, he's a good horse, and he's a logical horse, 8-5. Juan Hernandez riding, and I could see him win. He doesn't need the lead to win. He's going to be tough. But I think Lovesick Blues, in his current form, if he's ever going to show me that he's just as good going a mile, and maybe he's not, but if he is, he can win this race. He's 7-2 in a 6-horse field. A horse of that quality, I'll gamble at that price.
And you had mentioned Desmond Doss. He's the defending champion of the Bertrando Stakes. So just as we had at Pleasanton, we've got a title defense coming up on Saturday at Los Alamitos. That's going to wrap up our 8 handicapping test for the week for Jeff Siegel. I want to remind you that the Royal Ascot racing continues Saturday morning with the final 7 races from Royal Ascot this season. You can bet those races with a $10 money back special on your win bets. Get up to $10 back if your win bet finishes second or third on any race at Royal Ascot this week. And then, of course, we've got that same $10 money back special on the final 4 races of the Ohio Derby card, races 9, 10, 11, and 12, all stakes races from Thistledown on Saturday. So be sure to take advantage of those money back specials. Jeff and I will be back on Tuesday to wrap up the weekend, maybe look back at some Royal Ascot and look ahead to what's to come in the coming weeks on It's Official, our weekly banter show. Be sure to check that out. We appreciate everybody watching on YouTube and Twitter and on the websites as well. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like this video and share with your friends. Build the audience for us here with the First Call podcast. We do it every Friday, and we're glad to have you back. Jeff, you got some national best bets that you're going to offer up this weekend as well. Tell folks where they can find those.
Yeah, I'm off the beaten path for me. I'm looking at races at, and not the Ohio Derby, but at Thistledown, and I've got Monmouth covered and Gulfstream. I mean, I'm all over the map here for Saturday and Sunday. Those will be posted the night before, so check that out on expressbet.com, and good luck to all.
All right. On behalf of everybody with First Technologies, my partner Jeff Siegel, I'm Jeremy Plonk. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Tuesday.